Good evening, everyone, and assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. A very special a topic to talk about, and also a very special guest. I'm really privileged and honored to have with me tonight a courageous and brave young ladies from the community here in Calgary. In the middle, I have Noor Al-Sabeg, and on the right side, I have Lina Moyano. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Do you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So I wasn't sure, but so as I said, I have with me here. So I was saying just a few words. I don't know if my camera froze up or something, but I'm delighted to be with us tonight, Noor and Lina. And do you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So for those people who don't know who's Noor and Lina, I think what we witnessed recently in the city of Calgary and out of the blue by Noor and Lina. Personally, I didn't know nothing about this young ladies before, and I'm gonna just keep it very short because really this is for them and about them to know about the details and the ins and outs of what happened for that protest. Before I start, first of all, I'm gonna welcome my two guests here, Noor and Lina. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So if you don't mind me, for those people who don't know what exactly happened on May 14th, as we all know now, on May 12th, there was the first car rally that called in by Simon Jamal and Ahmed Albdullah, and thousands of people showed up in support of Palestinian people and to ask our politicians to do something to stop the atrocities over there. Then you guys called in for a protest in the middle of what's so-called restriction pandemic, and that's really that's something like I applaud you for doing this, but also we're going to talk about the details of it. So your march or the protest came as second protest in Calgary. So before we talk about this, I prepared a few videos. So for those who are not familiar, they can really just get an idea what happened. So if you don't mind, ladies, I'd like to start by putting these videos, and then we'll start talking.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Okay. So we're all new to this, but we're gonna manage somehow to do it right. And here you go. Here's the first video. Do you hear me okay, Noor?
Yes, I do.
Okay, sorry. I prepared videos for you, so I'm gonna walk you through again to relive the event. And here you go.
Never think that your voice is not heard. Never think that our community will never support you just the way that you guys have supported us today. All you have to do is have the dedication and the strength to deal with what we dealt with to make it possible tonight. To make it possible for you guys to come with us and start this revolution.
شباب
We are
مظاهرة
the
شباب
revolution. And Palestine will be
شباب.
And if anybody has anything to say, we are opening the mic as long as what you say is not discriminative, racist, or goes against any laws. So if you do have something to say, please make your way to the front.
الأمور بخير ما شاء الله يعني ما بعرف قديش العدد.
Hello everybody. What are we here for? What are we here for? The people, they want a free Palestine. The people, they want a free Palestine. The people, they want a free Palestine. They want a free Palestine.
So this is really how things started, and I just prepared this clip for you, Noor, and just hopefully it's going to refresh your memory a little bit. So if you don't mind, I mean, you can start with Noor if that's okay with Lina. Briefly, if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit more about you, and then we can talk about the event.
So my name is Noor. I am a university student. I just turned 21. I major in communications and more specifically public relations. I am originally from the old city of Jerusalem where the Al-Aqsa and Qubbat al-Sakhra is, alhamdulillah, mashallah. And I've been all over the world. I've visited Palestine. It's beautiful, but it was just so heartbreaking to see what's going on over there. Yeah.
Great. So you're from Jerusalem, from
Yes, I
Quds.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, and Lina.
Hi, I'm Lina. I am a university student. I am originally Colombian. I came here when I was 3 years old, and I study sociology and also trying to minor in biology.
Oh, I see. And you know, so you're a student colleague, right? I take it.
We actually work together, and we also go to the same university.
Oh, I see. So how's this protest idea came about, even though everybody was so skeptical? And I do have to admit, I was one of the people that I said, you know what, I don't think this is a good idea. And the people who phoned me to say there is a protest, should we do this and do that? My advice was not to go because it have the potential that beside of the. So I have to admit that, and I do have to apologize for you for being so courageous and leading us into that. So how the idea came about?
First, you don't have to apologize. It's fine. We've had a lot of people who were skeptical about this, a lot more than you'd think. The only support system we had was my mother and us two and my cousin. That was our only support system through all of this. So everybody else doubted us. But I will let Lina tell you more about how this idea came to be.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, the idea initially came while we were in the car, and I was finally seeing everything that was happening, and it hurt my heart because I was in that position in my hometown. I might not remember it, but my mom does. And I was kicked out of my country where I was born there, but unfortunately I did not get the chance to live there. And we were just going to Tim Hortons, Noor and I and her cousin, and we all were like, I went to the Colombian protest, and we're all like, there should be a protest. We need a protest. This needs to be an issue that is all over the city, all over the internet, everything.
Great.
Yeah, and more specifically on my part is that I do have family still in Jerusalem, and they're dealing with everything that's going on, especially like the shooting that happened in Al-Aqsa today. I had family at the Aqsa, but basically I just kept thinking that they're going to be next, that at some point what's happening in Sheikh Jarrah is going to happen to them. So I just had to do something, because if they can't fight there and be safe while fighting, our responsibility here is to fight for them, because we get to do it and still go home at the end of the day and feel safe.
Okay, so just to clarify the starting point, because as you know, I mean, everyone, we're all like watching and horror what's going on over there, and we want to do something, but also we were just like binded by the restrictions of the COVID and the health stuff. So for us as individuals, it was just kind of a struggle to do something, or not just to come that feeling that, you know what, maybe there's a restrictions, maybe not, but where I'm just going to do it. So does that cross your mind, or is that something you thought about?
So yeah, the entire time we were planning this, getting the protest off the ground, that was easy work. Finding out where to do it, that was even easier. Working around the restrictions is what took up all of our time, and just finding out how finding is going to work, whether it's going to be going towards us, going towards individuals and everything. We worked very closely with the police and spent endless nights calling 311 to figure out what to do. At the end of the day, they told us just to constantly stress out the fact that they need to keep their masks on, sanitize, stay 6 feet apart if they're not from the same household. And as long as they do that, we stress that out as much as we can, everybody will be fine.
Perfect. And Lina, was that something also on your mind as well?
Yeah, well, knowing the thing is with COVID, I knew so many people that actually got affected by this, and people who actually lost like relatives with this. So it was a really big thing because I stress a lot, sanitizing, making sure everything with COVID because of what I study and what I want to go into, inshallah. And so I was finding a way where we can make this work in a way where we don't harm everybody, because COVID is still an issue and it's still an ongoing issue everywhere.
Great. So, Noor, being being Palestinian yourself, and I'm Syrian, and Lina is Colombian. I want to just make sure you and the audience know that what we've seen in that march and that protest, it's something really, and for us as a community, it's unheard of. The amount of number of people that showed up, that we didn't. I mean, as I said, I have videos that's going to reflect how the protest started as in hundreds and start to swell to the point where the police, they had no choice but to open the flood of the Olympic and the City Hall, and then let the people march in the street of Calgary. And I think there's so many videos and so many photos to reflect the number of thousands of people. So I'm just gonna go to my next clip here, so have and then people will know how things started, or at least how to start to progress per se. So here, my video.
Free, free Palestine! 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 Free, free Palestine!
I'm going to show you that. So if you remember how our first footage was just inside, and slowly people start to walk outside, and this is where things start drifting. So, Noor, were you anticipated? We all interested to know, like, what happened on that day that thousands of young people joined the march, and was your message directed to the youth, or it just happened, and how it did happen that you were able, guys, to bring all these people in?
So I feel like a lot of the youth, especially with COVID and everything, the way they connect with one another is with social media, and especially with COVID, since a lot of disasters happen since COVID, they connect and bond over that as well. So I feel like just showing them and constantly reposting, I know it's not as people don't stress it out, but reposting really does help. Reposting things as much as we did really showed the people what's going on and how they desperately need help in whatever way they can show it. So the social media, the constant stressing of what's going on, the being able to connect over the fact that this isn't just going on in Palestine. There are disasters all over the world, but right now that's what we're all bonding over. What's happening in Palestine is what really brought the youth together. Alhamdulillah, most of them were Arabs. So I'm very happy to see that a lot of Arabs are educated on the matter. So as Arabs, we're raised from a young age to see that what's going on between Palestine and Israel, and we're raised to believe that the Palestinians need to be free. So I'm very grateful that that's still going on. And I saw 6-year-olds coming to this protest and screaming their lungs out saying "Free Palestine." But I want to stress that we did not condone a march of any kind. We only wanted a protest. The closing of the streets was because the police saw that that was the best option in that moment in time. But for us, we never planned for an actual march down the streets.
Okay. And Lina, anything to say about that?
Yeah, it was great to see everybody there. I saw a lot of also it like I love that a lot of Arabs were there, but I also saw a lot of people from other cultures and ethnicities that were there, and they were able to see that this isn't just a religious matter. This is basically the human rights that we are technically legally supposed to have getting ripped away from people. And they're able to see this more as us coming in a community and trying to stop basically another genocide that has happened and has happened throughout all history. Because I took a anthropology course and we learned about the Rwanda genocide, and at least our youth is standing up and using their voices, and
Right.
they're using their voices as in social media. People are posting things, even if it's not them speaking or typing, they're reposting the posts where you see the graphic things that are happening, but at least that is reaching everywhere.
Oh, I see. Do you have any official statistic, roughly how many people were there, or Noor, any idea?
I only have like statistics off of what came from your page, that it was roughly 5,000 to 7,000 people. Because of the march, I couldn't condone it, so I did have to go home early. I couldn't join it to show that I condoned it. I couldn't see how much the crowd grew, so I just went off based off of what I saw on your Facebook.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I estimated that based because I've seen this from the start to finish, and I did the whole march from the city hall all the way and 17th Avenue up to downtown Stephen Avenue and back to the city. So it was just something I never seen in my life, especially for these younger people. And as you mentioned, Noor, that majority of the people were just born, raised, young. People here showed up to protest, and I was really wondering, like, what is the reason why so many young people? I understand the COVID part of it, but you can see how much energy brought into the Street of Calgary. And even talking to the police, and the police, as much as they were really on alert to what's going on, but you can tell because they don't see any sign of violence, any sign of a breaking major rules and major laws and stuff. So even the police were kind of, I don't want to say enjoying it as much as was just really maintain it. So if something you can think of, is the cause that what really brought those young people into the street, or the social media that just give them the opportunity to come?
I think it's a mix of both, because at the end of the day, on social media, you can always say, hey, there are restrictions, let's ignore it. You guys can come over whenever you'd like. And you can post that on social media, but not everybody's going to respond to that. I think a big part of it was the cause. And I think a big part of it comes from parents raising their kids and being very grateful to the fact that they don't have to raise them, being afraid of the fact that they could lose them due to a very corrupt military at any given moment. So raising them and teaching them that you're blessed, you're lucky, you get to live another day and not worry about whether the electricity is going to cut off, whether this building is going to collapse on top of you, raising them to believe that they're very blessed and that they need to fight for others. That's how my parents raised me personally. I think that's what brought them together. Also unfortunately, having to see everything that's so graphic online, it brought them together. The social media is what made them see what's happening. But the youth are who decided that they want to be a part of it. So social media did not tell them you have to be there. They chose to be there.
And Lina, did you use the social media directly to promote the protest, or or was it organically grown on its own?
No, I constantly am always reposting everything about Palestine, everything that's going on. I am constantly reading stuff that is going on. And when I was like, okay, we need this protest to go, the only way that I knew that I grew up with was social media. Like everybody that comes to they're now YouTubers and now Instagram influencers. And so I'm like, I know everybody can see Instagram, and I know that most people in our community have an Instagram.
Oh, I see. And that's really what, because as I said in the first videos I showed you, I started just like I would say a normal protest with cautions, and then we just don't know what happened, and all of a sudden is just the area was just flooded. I'm just going to show you my third clip, and so that's going to reflect how the protester grew. So I'm just going to go back to this one here. So I want to show you this, then I'm going to show you how it really, when they start to go like
everybody, listen, it's vital.
Sorry, not this one. This one.
واو. طبعا الاعداد تضاعفت كثير، ما بعرف بالالافات اكيد يعني هلا، بس شو هو الرقم ما بعرف يعني. الامور كل الشباب هون، الشباب كله هون، شباب كثير صارت هون، كله شباب من 15 16 ل 25 30 25 من 15 ل 30 تقريبا داون تاون كالجري.
So here is where what the Calgary Police Services, and kudos to the Calgary Police Services, because I really think they played a major environment at that day and the other days as well. But I think because the protests grew so big and so large, then the police decided that it's better just to march in the street instead of just have all of them in at the city hall. So up to that point, Noor, you were there, or you left?
Yeah, I stayed there until there was absolutely nobody in City Hall, just so I could talk to the police and everything, see what the next steps are for future protests, see if anybody's in trouble and all of that, just to make sure everybody stayed safe, not just myself and Lina, but that everybody was safe. So until every last person left, and after I finished speaking to the police, that's when I left, around 7:30, close to 8.
Oh, I see. So Lina, what was did you anticipate these numbers to show up?
I didn't know. Well, I guess I anticipated a lot of people to come because I knew that the Arab community is really big here, as I grew up around a lot of Arabs, but I didn't expect to see like more than what I saw. Like it was full of like people everywhere that the cops had to the police had to open up the street because they're like, we need the extra space. And I just was in awe because as you're always taught that you have power, but I never really used that power as me being in Canada, being able to speak up. And now using that power, I was like, now we know what the next generation is going to be like. Now we know, and we're, I guess, examples to always fight for what you really believe in. True.
And then Noor, when you saw all these numbers and all the speakers, all the community leaders start to join you. And I do have to mention one specific. We have a senior community leader called, his name is Najah Al-Haj, and he's been active for over 50 years. And he admittedly said he never ever saw that number of people, that much energy in the street, that many of young people protesting for the Palestinian cause. So how did you feel about all that people and all that energy was around you? And everybody wanted to speak, and everybody wanted to chant, and everybody wanted to say something. And it was your job to hold on the mic and
So it sounds a little selfish, but I was amazed and very, very proud of us. I had goosebumps all night. I couldn't sleep over the fact that that many people actually turned up. But quickly, I diverted my mind away from that. I realized this protest isn't for myself. They're not fighting for my freedom. They're fighting for the freedom of Palestine and the Palestinian people. And it just made me so proud of everyone there and everyone who supported us online, supported the cause. It made me so proud of them over the fact that even though Palestine just started entering the media this time around over what's going on, they were still very educated on what's going on, very much knowing that they need to fight for this. And none of them said, well, maybe it'll get better. Maybe we'll wait for a ceasefire. Maybe we'll wait and this will blow over in a couple days. Nobody said that. They just showed up with their heart on their sleeves and just with so much passion and power. And I was so incredibly proud of everyone there.
So true. Yeah, definitely. And Lina, were you disappointed because the local media didn't show up, even though thousands of people in the street of Calgary?
Honestly, sometimes the best media is honestly social media. A lot of the times, a lot of people don't know what to say, or they don't want to say certain things,
Right.
So they can get bad, hate on them. But I was sad that they weren't there. They weren't showing what the community is, because Calgary is such a large and growing community, that they weren't there to see such a big cause and so many, everybody, neighbors from different parts of the city coming together and actually fighting for one cause. And I was sad to not see them there, but we at least had other outlets to use, like Instagram, like Snapchat, like TikTok that now is uprising. We had other forms.
Oh, I see. No, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I do really think I was very, very disappointed that our local media did not even show up, didn't even report about it, and we had to really hold them responsible, accountable, and ask them to come. And unfortunately, up till the third protest, they start to show shyly. And then when there was 100 tickets issued for the violation of traffic, all of a sudden, also all the local media is reporting about that, and that was very disappointing as well. Mm-hmm. So I'll ask you Noor the questions, because here now we're gonna a little bit mix between you are Palestinian and Lina is a Muslim Colombian, I think, as far as I know. So how do you feel about what you did as a Palestinian young activist, and still, I think this is the first time, or you've done that before, or have you been in other protests before, Noor?
I have attended one protest in 2017, I believe it was 2017, 2018, when the former president Donald Trump was trying to declare Jerusalem as the state of Israel. Right. So we went to that protest. Not many people showed up, so I didn't really get the point of it. It was also at City Hall, but since that was the only protest I've been to. I was 18 years old, my very first protest. I haven't been to one since, until the protest that we organized.
Oh, I see. And just before I go back to Noor, and was the same thing for you, Lina? Is that part of have you done any protests before?
I've attended actually quite a lot. My mom is a very big activist of human rights. She speaks a lot. As I'm a refugee, I came here unwillingly from my country. She's very, very adamant on fighting for people's rights. And I think I grew up in that environment. And so whenever there's an issue, no matter where it is, who it is, if I'm educated and I educate myself and I know that this is wrong or this violates something, I am there and I stand in solidarity. I was at the Colombian one. I try to support this, like the one for the farmers in India, as much as I could. And I did go to the Black Lives Matter one as well. And yeah, there's some when I was younger about Colombia as well, because it's always an ongoing issue. So I have a very big like favor in protests, because I feel like that's the best way we can really reach everybody.
Wonderful. I do have to mention, when I talked to Noor about doing this together, she said, really, it's me and my friend Lina that we started this, and it equally, and the story would not be told properly unless Lina is here to tell, because literally, I mean, this is the work of both of you guys, and then other community member joined. But Noor, because you're Palestinian, always people think, okay, because you're Palestinian, might as well, oh well, so you got to do this. But what was your feeling of, as Palestinian, doing this for your home country, for the cause that you grew up day in, day out hearing about all the injustice that being enforced and shoved against the Palestinian people, Palestinian properties, and the holy sites and all the stuff?
So I want to make it very clear that I do not fight for Palestine because I am Palestinian.
Okay.
Up until a while back, I didn't really have much of an opinion on what's going on in Palestine. I just said, like, Palestine has to be freed because that's what my parents raised me to believe. I'd never really educated myself on it until I was in Jerusalem praying a Friday prayer. And out of nowhere, they started throwing like sound grenades and started shooting people with rubber bullets, throwing women on the ground and beating them. That's when I fully developed my idea that whether or not I am Palestinian, this is completely unacceptable. The fact that this happened was on the news. My family back in Qatar saw us on the news and nobody did anything about it. Israel issued no apologies, nothing. And the only way that we were allowed to leave Al-Aqsa was if they escorted us out with guns on our backs. That was the only way we were allowed to leave. And that's when I developed the fact that I wasn't raised in Palestine. So the only thing Palestinian about me is my father, who was raised there, and my mother, whose ancestry is Palestinian. I am more international than I am Palestinian, but in that moment, I created a dedication to free anybody that needs to be freed.
Oh, mashallah. That's so you witnessed the violence or the brutality yourself.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so this is not like a bunch of terrorists that trying to cause the trouble. There is something going on over it. Would you please tell us a little bit more about? Did you live in Al-Aqsa yourself, or you just were visiting?
I was visiting, and unfortunately, I am unable to live in Al-Aqsa. I've always dreamed, like in Palestine, I've always dreamed of one day I would get my degree from here, possibly go to law school, and then I'd be able to move back to my home country and inshallah start a family, raise it there. But unfortunately, I don't really want to go live in a state that oppresses my people, pay taxes that fund the military that oppresses my people. So I would rather stay here and publicly defend them than go there and whatever money that I pay for taxes is what oppresses them.
I see. And Lina, for yourself, I think that you've never been in Palestine or Jerusalem.
No, I haven't. I mean, I've seen like pictures here and there, and since I converted, I've always like, there were so many connections to where my old religion that I was part of, and me being Muslim, that I decided I started really looking at the mosques that they had there, and I wanted to be there because I'm like, finally, I'm picking something for myself that I'm so happy to be in, and I want to go there. And then I was reading of like how like it's kind of hard for us to get in there because of this whole situation. I'm like, that broke my heart because I'm just like, I just want to be with the people that really established everything. I want to experience things that, like, I guess the Palestinians get to experience, the mosques that is so beautiful, but I can't because the government somehow is, well, not somehow, they're literally like physically harassing people there. And it hurts me because back home, the police do the same in the name of like the government. And I'm just like, okay, like here we go again. Again, we go with the same story.
True. Yeah, exactly. And just a lot of oppressed people and then unfortunately they don't find, especially if the other side have so much interest and so much power over them. So this is where their story will continue on untold till something like this happen, where everybody feel this time is kind of different. Noor, this time for some reason worldwide we can sense it. It's kind of different. You feel like the whole world, in a way, that was aware on an alert for what's going on in Palestine and the Holy Lands. So why this time it's kind of different, in your opinion? And the prime example, if what we started here in Calgary, you and other volunteers, and then what we've seen in throughout Canada as well. So why this time is kind of a little bit different? As you said, at the 2018 was just a few shows, and all of a sudden this time it's just like everybody's there. So is there anything you would like to add to what you just said before?
Yes, I feel like this time it's more of a withstanding issue because social media is so much more accessible, where we're able to see what's going on. And I think what really pushed people into fighting for it more is when Israel bombed the news outlet in Gaza so that they wouldn't be able to communicate with the outside world. They bombed their only COVID testing and research center. So that's when people started to see that even if they just shut down their only way of communicating with the outside world. Right. So whether or not we can physically see what's happening, this is going to keep happening. They are going to continue to be bombed. They are going to continue to lose their families, have little to no food, water, losing any kind of basic human needs. So I think that's what really started to push people, especially because actual governments also started to make statements. I didn't hear of many governments making statements about Jerusalem being the official state capital of Israel. So I think now, because also world leaders, politicians, people in the government started to get involved, started to make their own statements, that pushed people, whether they're frustrated with what they said or not, to continue what's going on. And also because you can literally see people lose their homes. They drag them out and push them out onto the street. You hear about them being evicted, you think they get an eviction notice, but they're physically dragged out of their homes.
Oh, wow.
It helps.
Wow. Lina, were you surprised that we did not hear the strong condemn from our...
Pardon?
Sorry. I said, were you surprised that we did not hear any strong voice condemning the violence from our politicians here in Canada, whether locally or federally?
I was very disappointed, especially when I heard the statement of Justin Trudeau saying that this was a conflict, that Israel is literally defending themselves. How can somewhere that doesn't get any funding, that the government that is harassing them, abusing them, and murdering them controls all the funding and has the fourth most powerful, well-constructed military, say that they're defending themselves from rocks and pebbles and little kids? It made no sense to me, especially with how I knew kind of what the Liberal Party stood for, and it just went kind of against what they stood for.
Oh, I see.
I was especially Canada being a nation that is supposed to be peaceful. We're supposed to really encourage those human rights all over the world. They are literally saying, no, you don't get your human rights. The most powerful side does. But no, not you, because you guys are the ones that are attacking first, when that is not the case.
That definitely, a lot of people were very disappointed, whether by the conservative or the liberal. And we do have to acknowledge the statement that was issued by the NDP leader. I think he's the only politician in Canada that said something bluntly and asked for a stop of the violence and he really pointed the public eyes in the right directions. Do you agree with that, Noor?
Oh yes, I was very, very happy with what Jagmeet Singh said and how he very publicly exposed Justin Trudeau to the point where he showed anger in what Jagmeet said and how he said that you're going basically against everything you stood for when you went into this election. Jagmeet Singh straight up said the Palestinians need to be freed. They need to have their own land. They need to be compensated for everything they're going through. And we need to stop saying that Israel is defending itself. Because let's be honest, Palestine does not have a military. We do not have an army. We do not have tanks. So to say that Israel is defending itself it's a joke. And Jagmeet Singh pointed that out very explicitly, and it's just nice to know that there is a political party out there, which we will be able to vote for soon, inshallah, that will stand by us.
And we hope that, inshallah. I'm going to take you to the Red Mile. For those who people don't know what the Red Mile is, 17th Avenue. Usually people in 17th Avenue, Calgary, they go and just have a good time and party, drink, and all that stuff. But this time, I think I'm going to take you to the 17th Avenue Southwest. You're going to see something that was a part of the protest. So let's watch that.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Stop it, because it's
Holy, how you doing? Holy shit, guys. Oh, I tried to get you a good shot. Oh, there's endless. ما في نهاية. بحاول آخذ لقطة. شوف قديش في عالم. شايفه؟ هولي. مو معقول. يعني من 4th ستريت تقريبا هلا بنقدر نقول من 4th ستريت ل 8th ستريت من 4th and 8th and 17th Avenue it's all full.
So, Noor, I'm going to start with you and answer these questions about the stuff that we heard on the street of Calgary. That some people might think it's that inappropriate, or it might consider that anti-Semitic and stuff like that. I want to give you the opportunity to respond to that. That we heard in the street of Calgary.
So I want to make it very clear that I have done my research on the Torah. Some research on the Bible, a little bit more than the Torah and the Quran. And nowhere does it say that we should stand for a state called Israel, for a Jewish state, because in all three Abrahamic religions, yes, the Jews were promised their own land under certain guidelines which they had to follow, set by God. And they did not follow that. So God punished them and said they had to disperse all over the world. They are not to have their own land. And people who follow the Jewish Orthodox religion believe in that, and they stand for the state of Palestine and condemn the state of Israel. So Zionism is creating a safe state for Jews in the name of Judaism, even though that contradicts the Jewish religion. So the entire base of Zionism does not exist, because Zionism stands for Judaism, even though Judaism says, no, we are not supposed to have our own land. So to say we are against Zionism, we are against the state of Israel, does not say we are against Jews as a whole, because we do have Palestinian Jews in Palestine. It is saying that we just don't agree with the fact that this land should be yours by force and you are hurting us in order to get your land. And that is not anti-Semitic, because anti-Semitism is racism towards the Jewish community. So saying that, yes, we are the indigenous people of this land is ours, your religion said this land is no longer yours, is not anti-Semitic. It's basic fact, which is using their religion to show them that fact, but they're just too ignorant to see it.
I see. And we're going to have a guest that Tamim is going to join us shortly. And what about you, Lina, about those stuff that some of the slogans we heard on the street? If somebody might say these my inflammatories and might be some like unacceptable. So what do you say to that?
Honestly, my take on this is that this is honestly really beyond religion. This isn't just religion itself. And a lot of people don't grasp that this is not just we're fighting for the Muslims, right? It's the Muslims and the Jews fighting against each other. But it's not. This is literally us fighting against a genocide that shouldn't happen again in our current state after all the history books, out of everything. And I always have to stress to people that Jews themselves, like I said, they do not actually think that they're supposed to have that land, that they're actually supposed to be dispersed out. And there are Jews standing up for Palestine. So we shouldn't be targeting Jews. We should be targeting the government. People who think it's okay to go kill little kids for a piece of land that they think that they have to inherit, which obviously is not the case. Or else we're in the same boat of what happened to the First Nations here, how they took their land by force, eliminated their culture, and what we have now from the First Nation community trying to build that up again. Like, it shouldn't be between the Jews and the Muslims, because Palestine is full of all religions, Jews, Muslims, Christians, and it amazes me that they can get along so well. Like, I saw a video of like us praying, and then there was a Christian there praying as well. And
Absolutely.
People are trying to make that into like a war of religion when it's not a war of religion. It's more than that.
And also there is a lot of Palestinians who are Christian as well. I mean, they played a major role in the Palestinian resistance. I do have, if you don't mind, if you allow me to, I'm going to add Tamim. Let's try Tamim. Assalamu alaikum, Tamim.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. And I do have to admit, when I was looking at you from far, I said, my goodness, who's that good-looking guy? Just keep just chanting and chanting and chanting non-stop. And the first one, the second one, the third one, mashallah alaik, you have lots of energy, Tamim.
Well, we have to. For this cause, it has to come out. It just comes out naturally.
So for those people who don't know who's Tamim, would you please just give us a quick background, please?
Sure. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My name is Tamim Habib. I live in Calgary, Alberta. I've lived here since 2007. Before that, I lived in Winnipeg from 2000 to 2007. Before that, I was in Afghanistan. Originally, I'm from Afghanistan. So currently I'm the president of Bilal Islamic Center. Many people know about it, alhamdulillah. So yeah, that's who I am. And when I see these things happening, I can relate a lot of it back to what I've seen from childhood, living in my country, and the love of this land that's in everybody's heart. It just gets us going, right? So alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I think this is on May 14 when you met Noor at the protest. That was the first time you met or you know about these amazing, I would say, activists, actually community members. So how do you feel about being, because I saw you were there, and we're talking about, for the first time we see women taking the lead on that. So how do you feel about the part of the Muslim community?
You know what? Alhamdulillah, we're very grateful to have sisters like this coming out and taking lead. And this is a lot of people kind of misunderstand this when it comes to Islam. They think that women have a very shallow role or something. But going back to our history, Islamic history, actually, women made men. All of these men that you hear about, like Bukhari, and you hear Imam Malik and Abu Hanifa, the real people behind making these characters that we know of such big, huge personalities, and they are by rightfully. But if you go back, like Imam Shafi'i, if it wasn't for his mother making the decisions that she did, we wouldn't have Imam Shafi'i, right? So women has always played a very critical role in Islam, and alhamdulillah, we're glad to see that they're still playing it, and we're here to support them, right? We're fully right there, and we want the world to know that alhamdulillah, despite covering up our mothers and sisters, to give them that honor and dignity, which is something it's not even from us, it's from Allah, right? It's from our God. So because of that, they feel oppressed. They're oppressed, right? And that's not true. And the sisters are showing it. May Allah preserve them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep them going, give them the strength to represent us in the future. And this is our future. These are our future. I'm very happy for them.
Absolutely, subhanallah. I mean, here we're looking at the screen that have 4 people: a lady from Colombia, a lady from Palestine, and from Syria. You're originally from Afghanistan, and here we're talking about a cause. We're talking about the Palestine, and we're talking about the Al-Aqsa. We're talking about Gaza and all this stuff. So, Tamim, with your permission, ladies, if you don't mind, ask Tamim another question as well.
Sure.
Why do you think this time was so much grassroots engagement into what we witnessed for the last 11 days, 12 days?
You know what, Sam? It's like, first of all, let me just say this. Like you mentioned very beautifully, like how there's different people involved here in this 4 pictures that we see images and from different places. You know, if we see around the Muslim world, and not just Muslim world, like we have other places in South America and Africa, lots of places where there's lots of humanitarian needs that we have to speak about and help them and so on and so forth. But for Muslims, this land, this is Ard al-Mubarakah. This is a place where our Prophet ﷺ has gone on the most historical night, on the night of Isra and Miraj. So it's not a land which is just claimed by the Palestinians or the Arab. It's a land which is claimed by all the Muslims. Every Muslim has a right on this place. And so when you see something like this happening to Palestine, you see everybody's emotions are just wild, and everybody gathers up for this place like no other. Because if you go back, I mean, look at the news. Afghanistan, there's not much report on it, but every day there people are dying. Hundreds of people are dying. Humanitarian need is needed there urgently. And all of these things, but yet, when you have a protest, and we've had a few of them in the past in Calgary, but you don't see this number of people. But if you ask me why, these grassroots and how this came, I think social media has a lot to play with it. For the first time, people are seeing live, real images of what's happening. And it's not just us here, but I was watching the news in Palestine, in the occupied lands of Palestine, and people were saying, for the first time, the Arabs, the 48 Arabs they call them, right? Those Arabs, they said for the first time we felt connected with Gaza, with West Bank, with all of Palestine, because they would put out their phones and there's no boundaries. It's like live, it's happening. So these movements are not just taking place here in Canada or US, but within Palestine, within Israel, as many people may call it. There is movement, there's protest, there's lots and lots of protests taking place there. And this is even shocking the state of Israel, right? They weren't ready for this, they were expecting it. But people are not going to work, they're not going to do their jobs, they're standing in solidarity with what's happening in Gaza, all these bombs which are being rained on them. And so we see these moves, and it reaches us. And so when we, the brothers and sisters, when they started calling for these rallies, like Sister Noor or Brother Ahmed Albdullah, may Allah reward them all, and everybody just came together. It wasn't about, okay, is it for Palestine? No, we know what's happening. So we just came out and we just went with the flow, and it turned out very, very beautifully. a very peaceful protest, and a lot of people were scared that due to the numbers that we had, perhaps we would riot and act silly and stupid. But we are grateful to all of those youth, the young Muslims that came out, that held their emotions and channeled it through the right ways to make us, to make the politicians, the media hear about us. Because the second time we had no politicians, we had no media coverage, and so on. And then the third time we got their attention, and inshallah, hopefully they're going to be affected even more in the future.
Inshallah. Noor, do you feel satisfied with the support that you got, you and Lina received from the community in general? You feel like the community was up there supporting you, or you were, or you have something to say about the community support?
No, I felt completely supported by the community. Like, yes, we did go through a hard time where we were people were trying to convince us not to go through with it. But in that moment in time, it's like all of our hearts were beating at the same time. We were all connected, and we all just felt the support through each of us. So
True.
I felt very, very supported. I felt like there was nobody telling me you're doing this wrong or that you need to do this better. They just understood that whether or not this goes sideways, whether or not this very young woman who is still unexperienced in the world has done this, or a man who is 70 years old, very, very experienced in politics and the world has done it, no matter who did it, it's being done. And that's what people care about.
So true. And Lina, same thing with you. I do have the questions. If you feel like you got a support from the community, and also, did you feel like you get a support from the outside of the Arabs and the Muslim community as well? And because you're the organizer, and I've seen a lot of faces there that belong to different religion, different ethnic groups, and all the stuff. Did you feel that the Calgary community in general supported us enough, or was just a little bit shy to support us, especially with the cause?
Well, I know for sure there was a lot of Colombians supporting Palestine because of the current issue that is always occurring in Colombia, that the government is always messing with people's rights there. And the first rally, when I saw the cars go by when the Colombians were protesting, they were saying "Viva Palestina" because Viva Palestina, they deserve the land. And then I got to, when I was standing there and talking and trying to like speak, I saw so many different faces from different places, and I was like, now we know, we are all channeled on the same page that this is an issue. And I was so proud. I really, honestly, other than that, it was from the community. I've gotten people like, well, my community, the Colombia community, people reaching out saying, I'm proud of you. When I posted it on Facebook, there's even my family from back home, like one of my cousins who fights a lot in Colombia for rights. He's like, I'm proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing to get that feedback from so many people when personally I've lost people for the stance that I have with Palestine, but I've gained so much support from the community that I don't feel like I actually lost those people. I feel like we say, Allah takes something, but He gives us something better. And I've really seen that. And I'm so happy that our community is able to connect in a way that it's not just the Muslims, the Muslim community, or the Arabs. It's literally everyone. And we're all able to see that pain in people's eyes and really project that and understand where they're coming from.
Absolutely. I want to give the mic to my Tamim, but before we do this, I want to tell you, Lina and Noor, one of the problems we faced at that day and at the protest is when everything was finished, it was so hard to convince the people, it's finished, please go home. So I'm just going to show you a clip where the police said it's 8 o'clock already, so please go home. I'm going to show you this clip, and then we go back to talk to Timmy.
Please, everybody, listen. It's vital that you listen and observe social distancing rules right now. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, first I want to thank everybody for coming out. You made an amazing show of support for our Palestinian brothers and sisters. But since the organizers, they have left. They have left you. The original organizers have left.
Just go home.
No,
Let's go home. Yeah.
no, that's fine. That's fine. Wait.
Oh, I think Tanim remember that because he was there. So
I had the microphone after. Get out, let's go. Yeah, because
So-
I'll cut you in there. The reason is because we knew we're coming back, right? And we want the Calgary police were grateful for their services. We want them to feel comfortable with us because we are gonna have them back, right? This is why we just get
Yeah.
out.
So I remember you and Najah were saying, just we want to do this again, so let's stop it here. Police are just asking us to leave, we're just going to leave. So do you feel that the youth present or showed a level of discipline that really we anticipate to see from them, even though the emotion was so high and the cause was so big?
I think they did a fantastic job. Honestly, the majority of the protest was just youth. If you can see the videos, there's videos all over the social media. I made a video of it. I took your video, Sam. I took Ahmed Albdullah's video and other people's what I could find just to put in together. So you could see different parts of the protest, and it is majority youth. And yeah, they did an amazing job. This is why if some of the videos, if you see, I was actually right in the front of the protest and I didn't have a mic, and I was just I lost my voice, and I wanted to control these people, like, guys, slow down. And for a second they thought that the cops are trying to stop us, because the cop came in and the police, they came and said, hey, like, we're with you here, we want to work with you, give us your route. And so when I was telling them to slow down, because the police didn't have enough policemen to kind of control the crowd, so they kind of wanted us together. And so these people thought, the youngsters in the front, they thought the police is trying to stop us, so they're getting a little around. He said, no, they're here to help, guys, just take it easy, we're doing this, we want to be heard, there's no reason to rush. And then they started, okay, and then there was a beautiful scene. We actually had them chained up, so there was like everybody was just in one straight line, and their arms are chained up to control the crowd. And it was one of the most beautiful pictures that was taken. It's roaming around online. But yeah, they did a fantastic job. And our message to them is that, hey, when you come out again, you gotta keep that a level head. You gotta keep a level head, because we are expected to behave in ways which is going to be used against us, which is going to ruin these protests, and which is going to ruin the goal that we want to achieve. And we don't want that, because we are making an impact. And believe me, it's getting there, right? It's
So
scaring
true.
people, and this is why they're going to try to stop it. You've seen what happened in Toronto, that little bit of rustle, between some crowds in here and there. We don't want to see that in Calgary, right?
Exactly. And alhamdulillah, we didn't see that, even though there was a massive numbers of people. And as you mentioned, Tamim, or 90, in my opinion, over 90% were just young, 25 or 30 or less. And it was the discipline that showed. It was just really amazing.
Sorry, I'm not sure what was going on, but I couldn't understand. There's something wrong with the mic.
Oh, as I said, as much as the youth showed such a high level of discipline, even though 90% of the crowd were just probably in the 25 or less, or 30 and less, but they really set a really good example of how to be disciplined and how to present that the cause they are protesting for in the best way possible. Noor, sorry, go ahead to me.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were saying, okay. So, this is something I think we've just had enough of, right? I missed half of what you said, so I'm just gonna comment on whatever I heard and whatever I understood from.
Sorry about that.
There's a little bit of disruption there with your mic. Look, everybody knows what's been happening with the history of Palestine, all right? And when I came in, the sister over here, Lina, was saying that this is, more than religion, and so on and so forth. It is in a way, but I would say this is also an idea that the Zionists are pushing. Usually they push it out as a Arab and Jewish problem, right? To seclude the rest of the world with it, the rest of the Muslims. I don't think that's right to do, because this is not just an Arab and a Jewish problem. Ethnically, we're saying, right? They're cousins, for God's sakes. We know that, but this is more of a Muslim and Jew problem. We would say that because they're taking our land, and we've seen what's
Is
happened.
it a Jew or a Zionist? Is it a Jew or a Zionist?
The Zionist Jews. They're in the Quran.
Because we have a Jews protesting with us, right? So we can't say.
No, don't misunderstand me. The Zionist, I would thank you for correcting me, because in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that from the Jews, they're good people. They are good supporting people to the Muslims, right? And just in general. So definitely we want to put out that put it right out there that we're not against Jews. And if you look, this is not something started now. People usually think this and another sister, we had a meeting and she alluded to this. This problem didn't start in 1948. This is a problem that was pre 1948. The Jews were not in Palestine. The Jews were in all over Europe, dispersed all over the world, right? They were under persecution at that time. So they were looking for a place, and the Palestinians, the Arabs, they looked at, okay, our brothers, our cousins are being harmed. They need a place. So let's give them a place. And so they started migrating to Palestine way before 1948. A lot of people, think this is just starts from right there. Like if you go back, like in history, 1799 to, for example, 1946, the British mandated, like they laid down the real groundwork for a Jewish state to become a reality. And then it was 1947 to 1949, where over 80% of the Palestinians in what became Israel, approximately, and 80% of the Palestinian lands, they were actually seized by the Zionists. I wouldn't say Jews, by the Zionists, right? And it was in the 18 something when the word Zionist was actually coined, right? Before that, people just Jews. It was that. So you can go and you can find many of these things happening, the Accords, the Oslo Accords, all of these things. None of them helped. And so we as the youth now, we see like, look, this is we're not asking for much. All we're asking for is like, stop. We're not here protesting to pick up arms and fight anyone. We just want to be stopped. Like, stop attacking us. Stop like seizing our land. Stop killing our women and children. This is too much. That's not too much to ask for. And if the non-Muslims could hear our voice, all we're asking is for basic human rights to be established in Palestine, for the people of Gaza to blockade to be removed, for them to have some access to the world, because they're blocked off. It's an open air prison, basically, right? And so the people have had enough. The youngsters have had enough. And so this is why what gets us going. And we've seen, look, all these hurtful slogans, people that don't understand it, all of these things, it hasn't helped anyone. And the people have some idea. Okay, don't misunderstand this, because the Palestinian and Israeli people call it a conflict. I wouldn't say it's a conflict, but people call it conflict. So let's just use that word. This it's like mixed up between layers and layers. All right. So everybody can pull it. It depends where you come in and where you look at it. So the rest of the world, they do have some idea of what's going on. It's a very popular topic. So the rest of the world have some idea of what's going on. And most of these people, I would say, they take it in from the Israeli side, the Zionist side, because they have a lot of propaganda being pushed through the media, and they have the capabilities, right? And so many of the things people are already used to hearing, these people are saying, okay, these people are aggressive, they're this. So our message to the youth is, we're not going to take that approach. We've seen this. We've seen the tricks and games of the media. Our approach is very peaceful. It is targeted. We have goals, and we want to start with ourselves. Everything starts at home. We do want to win the hearts and minds of others, but we want the Muslims who are already here, we want you to wake up. We want you to start thinking. None of these promises that have been made to us have been fulfilled. Nobody really cares about it. They come and they sugarcoat a lot of things, and then they win you for a little bit of time, maybe because they need your vote or for something else. But then right after, when you need them, they're gone, poof, in the air. And so people are realizing that, our leaders are realizing that, people who have spent lots of time in this city who are experienced, they're realizing that, you know what, this is not helping. We've got to reorganize ourselves, mobilize ourselves, and we got to take this game, notch it up a bit. And we got to go to the people in a different way, in a different form, and we got to have a very peaceful approach. By, for God's sake, the name of our religion is Islam. It's peace.
Which is peace, yeah.
Which is peace. And the first thing, if you go back to our history, when the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina, the first thing he said was the words of peace. And this is what won over many of the people, even the Jewish. The Jewish people that accepted Islam, one of the main Jewish personality at the time, I can't recall his name, Abdullah ibn something, I forgot, but he became a Muslim because of the words of the Prophet ﷺ, where he started with peace and ended with peace. And so we have to come back to our religion. People have misunderstood it. We have misunderstood it, and so we need people to understand what our religion is. It's peace. It gives peace to the others, it gives peace to yourself, and with that idea, I believe we can win the hearts and minds, because right now the battle is the battle of hearts and minds. It's nothing else. Forget about these. It's the battle.
I know, Tamim, you are very excited, and you showed lots of energy in the street of Calgary for the last 3 rallies, mashallah alik. And I applaud you for being so outspoken for what you believe in. And me and you, we might have a little bit of different opinion, but we share one thing: is we want justice for the oppressed people, and we want justice for everybody who's oppressed out there. Noor, if you have, I don't know if you have time for us or not, but I want to ask you questions. A lot of people in this town would say, you know what, guys, this is not really a Canadian issue. So why we have to bother? Why we have to worry about if any immigrant or orange or Canadian, they're gonna do this for their heritage, for their background, then we're gonna have a lot of trouble. So what Canadian who would say this is not our issues, we shouldn't be bothered with?
It's really funny because I think it was just yesterday. Me and Lina did encounter someone who said that these protests do not need to come to Canada because you're making the Canadians angry and uncomfortable, and about some other stuff which should not be said. Was very vulgar, very aggressive, and he started saying that in the name of Christianity, this is not our problem and all of that. And it was really funny, considering the fact that Jesus is not a white man. Jesus is Palestinian. He was born in Palestine, and that was where the Christian religion was born, in Palestine.
That's
so
right.
any Canadian person who comes up to me and says that in the name of Christianity, this is a Muslim problem, I straight up tell them that pastors are getting abused, Christians also get killed, and Jesus was born in Bethlehem. He was a Palestinian man. He was born in Bethlehem, crucified, according to the Christian religion, crucified in Jerusalem, and he birthed the Christian religion in Palestine. So you do not get to say in the name of Christianity that this is a Muslim problem, because it is not. Jesus is a Palestinian man. He is one of our people. So it doesn't make sense. But as for anybody who is outside the Christian religion, this government condones what's happening in Palestine. Whether you are Black, white, Asian, atheist, Buddhist, agnostic, the government that you are living in right now condones what's happening in Palestine. So yes, it is your problem, because part of your tax dollars contributes to the Israeli government. So our voices will be heard, because you are helping the oppressors, and we will fight against the oppressors in whatever way we can. So I'm sorry if that annoys you, but you should really educate yourself before speaking and realize that this is your problem. This is not an Arab problem. This is a humanitarian crisis, and you should not be okay with a government that condones it.
Okay, well,
Sam,
good
Sam,
answer for sure.
if you don't mind me just interjecting and saying such 1 minute. And in 2018, I went to Palestine. I went and visited Bethlehem. I actually went to the inside the church. It's beautiful. It's this big where Jesus was born, where that's where they claim, right? Where he was born.
Right.
It's huge. It's amazing. It's beautiful. I went to different areas, Haifa, I went Akka, I went all of these places. And I went to Jerusalem. I went to Masjid Al-Aqsa. Of course, that was the main reason why I went there. And so you go around Al-Aqsa, you know, I'm not sure if you guys have been there, seen it, but if you go around there, man, it's beautiful. You see Jews, Christians, and Muslims living and doing business and everything together. I literally walked and I said, okay, maybe this is like a Muslim area. It wasn't. And I thought, okay, this is like a Jewish area, and I thought the Jews might not be here. But man, they have stores right beside one another. They like talk to one another. So this is a wrong idea. Like, again, just want to give up to all the viewers and so on that we're against everyone or this and that. No, there's people who live in harmony. In our history, we've seen it, and I just wanted to share that piece of information that, alhamdulillah, like within that place, there are Jews, Christian, Muslims, they live side by side, and they get along just fine. But thank you. That's a beautiful answer, Noor. That was
Absolutely.
Thank
Lina, so we know yesterday the truce was announced and there's stop of the shelling. So what was the first thing that came to mind when you heard that stopped? Unfortunately, hopefully it's going to be a permanent solution, but let's say the round is stopped and finished. What was the first reaction that you felt yourself?
I got sent that by a friend, and it was like, Alhamdulillah, we won this war. And I'm like, Alhamdulillah, we won something, but the fight is still continuing. We still have to fight every day until, I don't want to sound like I'm saying, oh, we should kick out everybody. No, but until the land is rightfully for the people that were there. We have to fight until Palestinians get aid. We have to fight until the Palestinian gets their homes back. A lot of families have still lost their kids. Like, there's videos of a father running around saying, where's my 4 kids? I had 4 of them. And then fighting and having his baby girl there and just crying and like literally crying there because that was his last child. And that is still going. Even after the ceasefire, they agreed to a ceasefire, but there they are at Juma prayer, shooting people and harassed. Literally, there was an elder that was being dragged by the IDF after a ceasefire. If they're not going to follow what actual international laws are and human rights laws are, and if they want it so bad for themselves, because if you compare the socioeconomic levels of both sides, Israel literally lives lavishly while the Palestinians live in rubble. They have to build up their homes. Now they're getting their homes taken away and bombed. I had to leave my home in 2 seconds or else I would have been killed. And that sucks because my country is so beautiful. It has so much riches. The people there are I don't feel at home here. And there are people losing their homes, losing their family every day. And they're like, yes, this is a success, but it's not the end of a fight. Our fight still continues until Palestine is free. Until we're able to say, instead of saying free Palestine, it's like Palestine is free.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bilal, I'm sorry, Tamim, is that the reason why you're still gonna continue with the protest because you think the job is not done yet, or the justice has not been served yet, or why are you still doing the march on next Sunday, the 23rd, I guess?
I'll connect your question to your previous question, which you asked Sister Lina.
Sure.
When I heard this, I was overjoyed. But right away, something came to my mind is that how is that going to affect the people? Because this is not the first time that they've called a ceasefire. It's not the first time they've attacked. It's not the first time they're going to play this game with us. So how is that going to affect us, Calgarians, Albertans, Canadians? Because these protests are happening, Canada-wide. How is that going to affect us and our the steam that we have, this adrenaline that's going on in people? How is that going to affect? Is it going to die out with this ceasefire? And I was on the phone, just messaging and calling to make sure that we got to keep on this, because just like the sister said, there are people who are devastated. And like what she said, I'll connect to that as well. I went back to my country. In 2009, okay, to Afghanistan. And I remember my uncle, Allah yarhamu, may Allah have mercy on him, he asked me a simple question, and I couldn't understand it at that time. He asked me, how are the fruits in Canada? The fawaki, how are the fruits in Canada? And I said, it's good. I was having an orange. He said, yeah, it's good. Alhamdulillah, and he said, okay. I spent 3 months there. I came back. Wallah, I swear to God, I put an orange in my mouth and I had to run to the garbage. And I realized what he's asking me. What we're eating here, Canada is beautiful. We love it here. But man, we have beautiful places. And had it not been for these oppressions, for these injustices, we wouldn't want to live anywhere else but in our own countries. We have beautiful sceneries. People think Afghanistan is just a desert. And man, there's some beautiful places. The food, minerals, anything. You can find lots of stuff there. And so I don't want us to forget, because for me, this fight is not just for Palestine. I see that Palestine issue brings the Muslims together, and for sure, we want to stop this occupation that's happening there. But we need a common ground for us as human beings. And if you want to bring it to for example, to the Muslims on that platform, because there's different platforms, right? So we have to see, our policies, what we can do as Canadians here in Canada, we can't. What can we do? These protests, it does help, because there was someone, I think it was Sister Maha, who mentioned it, right? She was live with her cousin in Gaza, and she said that her cousin was crying, seeing this support from Canada, Calgary, the city. She said this gives them hope. So yes, we want to give them hope and so on and so forth. But there's more to it than that. Just like the sister was mentioning, there's people running around looking for their family. I mean, what think about that? Your family is gone. Why? Because just in an instant, boom, a bomb, hit your home, and you don't know what's going on. Now you're looking for the full body or parts of bodies. It's just disgusting. Where is the basic human rights? So we have to work on us to unify ourselves, to have a unified front, strong presence as Muslims, as Calgarians, as Canadians, and we need to win the hearts and minds of others so we can bring this to the attention of our politicians. Our politicians, this is the people that makes policies. And if we can change their perspective, if we can give them a proper view, if we can pressure them, we're not going to chase them anymore. Honestly, the people that we're sitting or talking, we're done chasing these people. Now they're going to come to us, and we're going to make sure of it. We have the numbers. We're going to work on ourselves, and we want these politicians to be forced to make some policy change. When things like this happen, stop aiding Israel, stop aiding these people. And if you want to send aid to the Palestinians. What have they done to you? They need more help than the Israelis. Then you've already equipped them. Their arsenal is already packed with the latest weaponry, technology. Now they're sending them even more. America is this trillion dollars, contracts being signed for military. What more do they need? Look at the Palestinians, and they're worried about, they're sending. So we have to educate the people. There is fight from both sides, but one of them is being oppressed, and they're doing it in self-defense. You've stolen their home, their right to live in their own places. Their families are being attacked. Their kids are being attacked. And if they're going to retaliate, you look at them as terrorists. This is just very lowly thinking and very uneducated.
So, Tamim, as I said, you have lots of energy, and your enthusiasm to the cause, it shows. So, briefly tell us about the Sunday. what you and your team is putting out there still.
So I was talking to brother Ahmed Albdullah and some of the other brothers who are organizing this, inshallah, with myself, and so we have we've already decided that inshallah this Sunday is a go for sure, regardless of what. We're gonna meet inshallah in Olympic Plaza. In Olympic Plaza, in City Hall, right beside by side. It's gonna be around 3 p.m. We're hoping that everybody shows up around 3 p.m., 3 to 3:15, something like that. And we will have some small speeches here and there, some other surprises, activities that we thought we would show our affection and connection with the Palestinians and with what happened, all the ones who have passed away, the known and the unknown. And then we are planning to hopefully go on a march, and the route will be out on YYC Muslims. Hopefully tonight, latest tomorrow morning, inshallah. The route will be out. Everybody will know it. Here's the thing. I plead to everyone. We need to make a few tweaks and changes. And this is what the group has decided. And this is what we're going to push, inshallah. First of all, we need to change our tone and our words. We want slogans that people can relate to. So when they hear it, they need to understand and connect. We want slogans like "End the Apartheid." Everybody knows what's the apartheid in South Africa has happened. There's a good history in it. There will be some difference in it, and we want everyone to be responsible, do their due diligence, and respect the COVID rules, respect the city of Calgary, the police. They're gonna be there. I guarantee 100%, but they will be there to guide us and to help us. They're not gonna be there to stop us. And inshallah, like I said, the route will be out there. And when we do this march, we want to be together. And we're not going to go all over the place. And there's going to be, inshallah, when we go, there will be good volunteers. We'll have them out. And we're going to make it count, inshallah.
I really hope, inshallah. I really hope that our community, Muslim community, the Arab community, will be more active in other people's causes. They stand for justice with other group, with other protests as well, because this really shows how important it is to be part of the society and also feel the pain of other people and show your solidarity and support to other causes as well. Because in the end, justice, we want this for any oppressed people, and hopefully we're going to see more of our community involvement in other matters that related to our local issues and stuff. So I'm sorry to drag it for too long. I'm gonna give you the last word, minute by minute. So start with from go with the Lina. Your last word, please. I'm sorry, Lina.
Sorry, you cut off in a little bit, so I was like, the last words for...
So I'm going to give you the last, everybody, if we're going to get a last word from each one of you, if you want to say something to say before we wrap it up, inshallah.
All right. I just really want to stress the point that we can't be attacking each other as in dividing each other into religion, when this is, as much as us as Muslims, we know this is part of our religion, but this is also many other people dying. These are Christians dying. These are Jews dying, because there is still people, Palestinians that are Jews, that this is something that people every day are dying. Like, we get to go home, we get to go out, go shopping, come back, our house is still standing. People don't get to do that. We get to go to the hospital and we're given that right to get that help, right? They're stopping that help. They're stopping paramedics to help the Palestinians. We get that aid from the government. We get that voice to actually be able to speak on concerns. We're given that right. And over there, if you stand up for Palestine, you'll get spit in the face, maybe dragged on the floor, maybe even killed. And it's not fair that we're so accommodated over here, and we live a life that we can go out and we don't feel as afraid to be killed as other people do. And alhamdulillah, I'm so happy that I live in Canada. I'm given that opportunity to be here, to go to university here, to study here. And I guess I was introduced to a new religion that I wasn't even expecting to being part of. But here we are, everybody being able to pick those decisions, do that thing, and other people aren't. We sometimes have to be the voices of the oppressed, because our voices sometimes they project farther than other people's do. And we have that duty as humans because we are human before anything. And that's what I solely believe in.
Tamim, your last words before we give it to Noor.
Look, Sam, first of all, thank you very much for this meeting here. I really appreciate it, and for having me and for the sisters. May Allah reward you. Keep up the good work, inshallah.
Thanks.
And in seeing things in different views, it's healthy. It's not a bad thing. So I'm okay with that completely. But the last words is, look, Sam, me and you were on a group, a couple of them actually, and we both shared something about Al-Aqsa on Friday, right?
Absolutely,
and I want
yes.
to bring it to the attention of the Muslims. And the sisters already spoken that it's outside, but I want to focus a little bit on the Muslim side, and I want to talk to the Muslims because this should affect us. Look, on Friday at Jumu'ah prayer, the Imam of Al-Aqsa was removed from his minbar because he did not speak the truth. He was removed by the people. They stood, they did not accept him giving the khutbah and the salah and the prayer because he was not speaking out the truth against the oppression that's taking place and happening against the Muslims, or not even non-Muslims as well. Majority, I would say, are the Muslims in Gaza who are dying. So he wasn't speaking, and as a result, they did that. This is a change. This is a change within the Muslims themselves, right? So if they could do that to an imam, imagine what we can do to our politicians. We can make and break them, but we have to come together. We need to come. We don't be hot-blooded, I would say. If you're angry and upset, I want my message to everyone is channel it correctly. This is not something new. The Muslims, if you go back in our history, in our Islamic history, from the time of the Prophet ﷺ until now, the Muslims were always under oppression and attack. The Prophet ﷺ and his companions, if you go back to Sirah, go look, read what he had gone through. It's nothing what we're going through. And I want to end on this note. Somebody asked me recently, what's the situation and so on and so forth. I said, you know what? All of this is happening to the Palestinians. Wallahi, it's an honor. If you look at the world, like right now in India, how many people are dying from COVID daily? How many people are dying COVID? If I had a choice to be gone from this world, and if I had to choose, I would say I would go with the honor that the Palestinians are going with. They're standing. You've seen that picture that the guy is being pulled out of the rebels, and this is what he's doing. He's giving you the peace sign, and his fingers, he's dust. He's being like 10, 15 people are pulling him out. The courage that they have. And I'm going to end it on this one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that a group of my ummah are going to be oppressed. They're going to be challenged by their oppressors, and they will not be overpowered by them. And they will handle it, and they will remain, and they will stick on the right path. And they're going to remain connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until the hukm of Allah comes, until the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes. And the companions asked, who are they, Ya Allah? Who is, Ya Rasulullah? Who is this group? And he said, Al-Quds and the people around it. So Al-Quds lana, it's ours, and nobody can take that away from us. And we're going to come together as one, inshallah. There's no boundaries between us. Alhamdulillah, we're one people. Our book is one. Allah is subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, and we go back to that same creator that created us. Jazakumullah khair.
Shukran Tamim. Noor, that's a beautiful name, mashallah. So your last word, and then we're gonna finish.
Something I really want to say is that a lot of people came up to me and said, "We are so proud of you. You are so brave for doing what you did." And I just want to stress the fact that I'm not brave. What I did is the very basic thing that any one of us should have stood up and done for Palestine. All of us should stand up, use our voices to speak for Palestine, because many of those children in Palestine do not grow up to use their voices. They are gone too soon before they can understand that their voices can be heard across the world. I was not brave. The people who are brave are the people who continue every single day knowing that there might not be a tomorrow in Palestine, that they might lose their husbands, their wives, their children, and they still go showing hope. Those are the brave ones. What we did is what any one of us in this city, in this world should have done. Palestine, yes, it's for all of us. And I also want to say that we're not asking to remove the Jews from Palestine. We took them in. We took them in after the Holocaust. We fully knew that they would be residents or refugees in our land, but we did not expect it to go this way. So we're not saying, hey, let's get rid of all of them, because one, we took them in. It is our responsibility to care for them because that was a decision that we made. Two, we do have Palestinian Jews. Three, the religion of Judaism is within the land of Palestine, just like the religion of Christianity and the religion of Islam. It is all embedded into the land of Palestine. What we're saying is that before it was Israel, it was Palestine. There are citizens in Palestine who are older than this so-called state of Israel. So it's just not logical to keep continuing calling it Israel, or to keep entertaining this thought of a Jewish state that goes against all the three Abrahamic religions which are embedded in the land. It's just illogical. What we're saying is, we welcomed you here and you stabbed us in the back. What we want is our land back, our homes back, and an apology for everybody who has lost their family members, for everybody who has lost their homes, their food, their shelter, their right to basic human needs. They deserve an apology. They deserve accommodations. We will continue to hold Jews in our land, but not as the main citizens, and treat Palestinians as second-class citizens. It is Palestinian land, and the Jews are citizens of Palestine.
Okay, thank you very much for everybody. I just want to say, for every story, there's two sides, and we're trying to reflect the views of the protesters and the views of the people here that with me tonight. Definitely, I support the Palestinian cause. And I do believe that the Palestinian people have been for so long being oppressed, and they deserve to have their own state, their own way of living, their own government. And inshallah, that will be accomplished soon. I wish peace for everyone, and bismillah ta'ala, everybody will be live in form of peace and acceptance. Jazakumullah khair, all of you. I'm so proud of all of you. You're young. I don't know. I mean, I was so itching because I want to ask them, how old are you? Because you look at me so young. Mashallah, but you're well spoken and you have the youth energy.
How old do you think I am?
I think you're still too young. Mashallah alaikum. We're so proud. I'm so proud of the energy you brought into the conversation. I'm really. I think this is a generation that's different than my generation, and I really was just happy just to sit and watch and learn and see orchestra of really justice for the oppressed people of Palestine, and I felt it, and I'm so proud of you all. So thank you very much for joining me, and thanks for everybody who tuned in tonight. And kindly, if you don't mind sharing this video, so let's spread the word, and inshallah, we'll see you another time. Thank you, everyone, and salam alaikum.
Inshallah, and just make sure for all of your viewers that they follow the YYC Muslims, where all the details of these protests are going to be on there, updated. Just come and show up and help us and be a unified front. Jazakallah khair.
YYC Muslims on Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay, wonderful.
Jazakallah khair.